I am on the island of Ikaria, where my family roots are. Ikaria was catapulted to unexpected fame a few years ago and named a blue zone when it was discovered that some of the oldest people on the planet live here. The slow, relaxed way of life, a deep sense of connection to one another, the love of dancing, and a fresh, seasonal, natural diet are some of the secrets to Ikarians' renowned longevity. I'll explore the herbal teas that are both beverage and folk medicine. It's in the mint family. I feel like I have a bowl of Ikaria right in front of me. Make wild greens pies. Cook Sufi Stew, a delicious vegetable dish. And prepare a luscious chickpea recipe sweetened with local honey. Join me on my Greek table as I share with you a taste of life on this amazing island. I was born in New York and visited Greece when I was 12. I fell in love with the place and my husband. I moved to Athens 25 years ago to cook and write about Greece's healthy foods and natural beauty. I'm Diane Kochilas. Yassas. I first set foot on Ikaria as a 12-year-old New York City kid and immediately fell in love with the island's wild beauty. Ikaria is named for the fallen Icarus of Greek mythology, who flew too close to the sun with his wax wings and fell into the sea. Untrammeled nature, deep-rooted emotional bonds that span generations, a conscious disregard for the clock, and natural exercise are a few of the things that have shaped the life and people of this remote island. To this day, Ikarians are 10 times more likely to live to 100 than the average American. But more importantly, they do so with almost no dementia, very little heart disease, and low cancer rates. Ikaria has no natural ports. The waters surrounding the island make for some of the most turbulent sailing in the Aegean. As a result, Ikaria has always been quite isolated. This humble history gave Ikarians a profound sense of self-reliance and solidarity with one another. That, coupled with a simple, mainly plant-based diet, are at the core of Ikarians' legendary longevity. My husband and I are incredibly fortunate to be able to spend 2 to 3 months a year on Ikaria. It doesn't take long to get into the island's slow-motion, relaxed vibe. I love these mornings, man, in Ikaria.
Isn't there?
Life on Ikaria is about being close to and understanding nature, about moving with the rhythms of the seasons. From drinking our morning coffee under the 500-year-old olive tree that's in our garden, to the abundance of wild edible plants a few steps from my front door, Ikaria's natural bounty is ever present.
Let's go pick up some wild leeks.
All right, wild man, show me the wild leeks.
Yeah, we've got some here.
Let me see.
Peel out the outer skin.
The dry stuff, right?
Yeah.
The sweet flavor of wild leeks dresses up any salad. Wow.
Look, that came out with, with that garlic thing. You
that's
see?
Really great.
Taste it. It's so amazing.
It's very mild.
Isn't it
and
delicious?
Very sweet. It's very sweet.
Isn't it delicious?
Yeah. Great. It's a wild carrot. The leaves of these wild carrots are great in savory greens pies, and the high protein of wild lupin beans have been a regular source of sustenance. This natural richness benefits one of the island's most important culinary treasures, raw honey. My friend Yorgo, a robust young 85, is the father of modern beekeeping on the island. There is almost no commercial farming on Ikaria, so almost everything that grows here, even when farmed, is organic. Τώρα, Γιώργο, πού θα πάμε? Σε ποιο μελίσι? Εδώ πίσω.
Την πρώτη, που είναι τη μεγάλη.
Each of these stacks of boxes is one bee colony, or hive. There might be 25 to 30,000 bees in each one, but only one queen. Με τον αέρα είναι πιο ήρεμες οι μέλισσες ή πιο ταραγμένες? So the wind makes them a little wilder?
Yeah. It's harder to fly, it's harder to get the honey from the flowers.
Worker bees trek out every day to forage for food, the nectar of blossoming plants. The rich flora of the island gives them a lot of options. Pine, sage, lavender, heather, and even wild oregano are in the mix. This variety makes the honey even more exceptional, rich with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Could this amazing honey be the key to Ikarian longevity?
Yeah.
Before anyone can enjoy the honey, it needs to be extracted back at Yorgos' workshop. The bees seal over the honey-filled cells with wax. So the first step is to scrape that wax off with a heated knife. Any remaining wax is taken off with a comb-like pick. Since honey is so thick, the best way to extract it from the honeycomb is to spin it in a centrifuge. As the frames spin, the honey collects at the bottom of the vat. After all the honey is extracted, a spout at the bottom is opened to fill jars. This is pure, unfiltered, raw honey. There might be bits of honeycomb in it, which can be filtered out. Because of its antibacterial and nutritional properties, honey is often used as a preventative medicine amongst the older generations. Ikarians, such as my neighbors Titika and Stefano, often serve it with the herbal teas that they drink daily. These infusions are another secret of Ikarians' longevity. They are also a kind of folk pharmacopoeia. To know the therapeutic value of each herb is a living tradition here. This is rosemary. Blossoms, it's collected. She collects the flowers and buds from local plants and dries them. This is chamomile. Everything has a use for tummy aches, arthritis pain, insomnia, colds, coughs, and more. They are diuretics, so they can help reduce blood pressure. Remember, there's very little incidence of heart disease among older Ikarians. Titika likes to make her own blend to drink daily. So here we have rosemary, chamomile, mountain tea, pennyroyal, linden, mallow, wild sage, and rock rose. She's always ready to share a table full of tasty treats, like her homemade traditional cookies, a simple cheese and cornmeal pie, her own home-cured olives, and delicious pickled wild pistachio shoots, another example of foraged food from this amazing island. Titika and Stefano live the way Ikarians have for generations, always active but never stressed, always making time for a cup of tea, a shared meal, a little wine. In other words, for life. Γιατί θέλουν οι Ικαριώτες να γυρίσουν στην Ικαρία?
Γιατί αγαπάνε τον τόπο τους πολύ, αγαπάνε το μέρος που γεννηθήκανε. Σε τραβάει ο τόπος.
Είναι ο τρόπος ζωής εδώ πέρα. Είναι τελείως διαφορετικός από την πόλη, τέλος πάντων. Τα άλλα νησιά δεν ξέρω πώς. Αλλά ο τρόπος ζωής εδώ είναι χαλαρός, απλός. Και αυτό το ζεις και ευχαριστιέσαι, χαίρεσαι. Να κάνεις την τουρμπούλα σου, να κάνεις το μπάνιο σου, όλα. Είναι μια ομορφιά δηλαδή.
Vasily and I are visiting our friends Eleni and Yorgo. They are farmers and winemakers. Eleni, a true earth mother, is an awesome cook.
Καλώς τα παιδιά!
Τι γίνεται? Εδώ! Γεια σας!
Καλώς τα παιδιά, Γιώργο!
She has promised to share her recipe for one of the classic vegetarian dishes of the island, Sufi Stew.
Βάζω λίγο αλατάκι για να φύγει το υγρό. Ναι.
It's a great one-pot stew with lots of summer veggies and a few special ingredients.
Τώρα θα βάλω το λάδι.
She starts with onions and cooks them in a dry pan with a little salt to draw out their moisture. Then she adds olive oil, right before adding all the rest of the vegetables.
Ελένη, πόσο συχνά κάνεις σουφικό?
Πολύ συχνά.
Και τα κόβεις όλα έτσι, σαν δακτυλάκι δηλαδή.
Ναι.
While there are slightly different versions of sufiko from village to village, Eleni's version is one of the most delicious I've ever had. She likes to cut all the vegetables into finger-sized sticks and add them in increments. From potatoes and peppers to zucchini and eggplant, this will simmer for about an hour, so plenty of time for all the vegetables to cook.
Θα βάλω και τη δάφνη μου τώρα. Και βάζω και τα κολοκυθάκια τώρα.
This dish, sufiko, it's only made on Ikaria, even though it's a combination of ingredients that you find all over the Mediterranean, all over Greece. The name has an interesting story. There are two theories. Some people say it's from the Italian soffocare, which means to suffocate, as in you cook something and it suffocates in the steam created by the olive oil. Or the Ikarians say sufiko is from the local word sufika, which means I left you some. They say that when the wife used to make this, and imagine a farm family with a gaggle of kids, sufika, I left you some, it was what she would tell her husband when he would come in from the fields. I left you some sufiko, sufika. And it goes without saying that all of this is stuff that people grow in their gardens.
In her family, a typical Ikarian one, most of the diet is plant-based. Indeed, in Athens, where they lived before moving here, the whole family was vegetarian. But on the island, they keep animals, goats, chickens, turkeys, etc. They eat meat now, but only their own.
Μ' αρέσει πάρα πολύ αυτό.
Με τα χέρια.
Ναι.
Αρέσει και σε άλλους.
Every time I visit Eleni, she has a platter full of pitarakia, little Ikarian greens pies filled with about 15 different wild greens and herbs.
This is like breathing the air on the island. It's so full of Ikarian flavor.
These little longevity pies, as I like to call them, are a perfect example of the healthy indulgence that marks Ikaria's plant-based cooking.
Δυόσμο και ρίγανη. Θα βάλω κρασί.
Ναι, θα βάλεις κρασί. Αυτό.
Ναι, το άσπρο. Θα σβήσω λίγο με το άσπρο και μετά θα βάλω τα υπόλοιπα.
One of the things I always get from Eleni, and sometimes I even call her when I'm in Athens and ask her to find a way to get it to me, is what they call in Greek petimezi. And that is the grape molasses. It's basically boiled grape juice before it ferments into wine. Και για να το δούμε πόσο βάζεις από petimezi.
Τελείωσα και θα τα αφήσω να γίνει λίγο μόνο.
Ωραία. This is the fast food of an Ikarian summer. Σκέπασέ το, πάμε να δούμε τι κάνουν τα παλικάρια μας έξω.
Okay.
I'm making the city girls version of those beautiful Ikarian pitarakia, what I like to call the longevity greens pies. So I start with red onion, leek, scallion, and some chopped fennel bulb. I just want to saute that a little bit. The whole idea behind this dish, it's really about variety and a little bit of color and using as many sweet greens and fresh herbs as you can. It's my leek and scallion. So this is starting to cook down. I'm going to add my fennel. I am going to add butternut squash that I've grated, salted, and drained a little bit. Adds a certain sweetness. All right, this is ready. And I'm going to get this off here and empty it into my mixing bowl. We'll get a little bit more olive oil in here. Now, in this mix, I basically have pretty much everything you can see here. I have chard, spinach, which is right here, what we call in Greek mironi, which actually means fragrant. The closest thing in an American market would be chervil. It's in the same family. So this is going to cook down just like my onions and leeks. And I'm glad to see that there isn't a whole lot of liquid left in this pot. Just mix this up. I'm gonna add my fresh herbs, already chopped up on this plate, maratho. And on this plate, I have mint, parsley, dill, and that mironi, the chervil. And really, any herb would work in here, and that's the whole point. Not necessarily to follow a recipe like this to the T. You want to be able to use what you can find. I'm lucky enough to have fresh oregano, and I have a little bit of marjoram back here. The aromas that are coming out in this filling here, you know, I feel like I have a little bit of a bowl of Ikaria right in front of me. My filling is nice and cool, and I'm literally ready to roll my Ikarian longevity pies. It's really important to keep your phyllo covered. I'm just gonna cut it down the middle into 2 columns. A little bit of olive oil. And you can do all sorts of shapes. I want to approximate the shape of the traditional Ikarian pitarakia, as they're called, the longevity pies. And I'll put in 1 more strip on top. You want to get the edges before anything else because that's what tends to dry out the fastest. These are pretty wide strips, so you can get a good heaping tablespoon of filling in here. And this is really like rolling up a spring roll. You fold in the sides. It's very easy to work with the phyllo. Remember that the phyllo always has to be at room temperature when you're working with it. When you place it in the pan, remember to put the seam side down. I'm gonna brush this right away with a little bit of olive oil. There are lots of different shapes you can make with phyllo. So the next shape I'm gonna try just to show you are triangles. That's also a very classic way to fold them. So the way I do this is I roll in, fold in the bottom edge a little bit right there. And then it's kind of like if you've ever folded a flag, it's exactly the same technique. You're making right angles. So from corner to side, right? Tip to side. And remember, seam side down. Once I finish rolling these, I'm gonna pop them in the oven at 375 for about 20 minutes. They wanna be nice and puffed and golden. That's what we want. They look great, so crisp and golden. I can't wait to try one. See how flaky that phyllo is? That's exactly what we want. Wow, look at that. Just the right ratio of phyllo to filling. I am always really surprised, no matter how many times I cook this, at how complex that whole combination of greens and herbs can be. If I could wrap springtime on Ikaria in a phyllo packet, this is exactly what it would taste like. It goes great with a Greek rosé. This is from the Xinomavro grape. It's a great combination. Yamas.
Let's go check out what the ladies are doing there. Hey.
Γεια σας, κορίτσια. Τι κάνετε εδώ?
Είναι η εποχή του τριαντάφυλλο.
Καλά, το μυρίζω από εδώ αυτό.
Wow, Παναγία μου.
This is, I mean, talk about stopping to smell the roses. This is unbelievable.
Even rose petals have a place in Ikaria's wild edible bounty. My friends at the Women's Co-op use them to make one of the most aromatic preserves.
And when were these picked?
Today.
They were picked today.
It's a rose petal jam called rodozakhari, and it's a rare treat.
Eat it.
It's very delicate.
Yeah.
Let's get a bite to eat.
Let's get a bite to eat. Ευχαριστούμε. Γεια χαρά.
This stew with a drizzle of Ikarian honey and plenty of fresh vegetables is one of my all-time favorite recipes. I like to start with dried chickpeas. Let them soak overnight, and in the morning, I drain them. Add fresh water and bring to a boil, simmering for about an hour. If you use canned chickpeas, you can skip these steps. Next, add 3 bay leaves and as much sliced garlic as you like. About 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar for acid and 3 tablespoons of Greek honey to sweeten. Salt, pepper, fresh rosemary, and thyme. Give that a good stir before adding the vegetables. Red onion, fresh tomatoes. I like to thin cut carrots so that they really soften in the oven. Green and yellow peppers add beautiful color. Layer more onions and carrots until your crock is full. And lots of Greek olive oil. Then seal it up. Bake in a 350-degree oven for about 2.5 hours. Serve it with a piece of feta and crusty bread. Top it with a little bit of Greek olive oil. I can't wait to taste this. The Sufiko has been on for about an hour, and Eleni has a few finishing touches to add before dinner. Fresh basil, parsley, and oregano. She adds these right at the end to get the most flavor.
Wow, it smells great.
On Ikaria, enjoying really fresh seasonal food and sharing a meal with others are basic values that tap into Ikarians' deep-rooted, heartfelt sense of community,
The best bread in the world.
of helping each other, of sharing life and its joys.
Είναι μια περίοδος ενός χρόνου.
Στην υγειά μας.
One of the greatest joys is dancing, old and young together with no generational divide. At the island's many famed panigiria, local village feasts that everyone looks forward to and enjoys without inhibition. That sense of freedom to dance, among other things, harkens back to the very essence of living life simply, fully, and without stress.
Wow, this is great. This is her salt in that she collects it. I do the same thing. In the summertime, you go to certain areas where these basins, sea washes into them, they dry out, and you skim the fleur de sel, basically, the salt off the surface of that. And that's exactly what this is, and it is really flavorful.